Well, Tom and Rick, we have a beautiful day here for Game 4 of the ALCS. The Orioles need a win or the season will come to an end. And Roch, as Buck met with the media today, a lot of questions about his lineup. Doesn't Delmon Young usually play when left-handers are on the mound?
Oh, these outsiders that show up. Of course, Buck's like, well, this is our normal lineup. They're starting a left-hander. We hadn't seen Delmon in the lineup since David Price started for the Tigers in the division series. So we knew Delmon was going to be in there. The only question was, would it be Nelson Cruz in left field or would it be Delmon Young in left field? The other one would DH. Buck went with Nelson, and the only reason he's hesitant to do that, I mean, Nelson's a little bit of a better defender in left, but Buck usually uses a defensive replacement late in games, so you're going to lose that bat, and he hates having Cruz's bat out of the lineup in the late innings. However, I think Buck would gladly take a lead going into the late innings when he make that switch, and he'll take his chances because they haven't had one yet. They've been tied. They have not had that lead late in the game, but that's the only problem with having Cruz in left field instead of DHing is eventually you may lose his bat. But Delmon was going to get the start. Ryan Flaherty gets a start at third despite there being a lefty on the mound, simply for defense. Jimmy Paredes, a switch hitter, you know they're not as comfortable with his defense as Ryan's at third, so that's why Ryan remains in the lineup. He is the everyday third baseman the rest of the way, whether it's one more game or however many more.
Now, one of the reasons Delmon does not get as many starts as some of the other regulars is his value as a pinch hitter off the bench. And last night, in a one-run game, everyone was kind of waiting, well, when is Delmon going to come in? When is Buck going to pick his spot? And he never did get in the game.
So it's Delmon's fault that he doesn't start more, because he's too valuable coming off the bench. He's too good. He's hurting himself. But yeah, Buck said he did consider it when Jonathan Schoop was coming to the plate. At one point, he thought maybe late in the game he would use Delmon. But he said Schoop had some really good at-bats against that pitcher. And also, it comes back to defense again. You take Schoop out. Buck said there's a big drop-off defensively with anybody they put at second base after him, which I don't think is necessarily as big a jab at Kelly Johnson as just is that Jonathan is that good at second. They're that comfortable with him. So you're going to have to really pick your spots. And again, because they value Jonathan Schoop's defense so much, Buck decided he'd rather hold off on Delmon and let Jonathan have the at-bat. Plus, he really did think Jonathan could get a hit in that situation.
Now, you would think a team that is one win away from a World Series would be doing other things other than fashion statements in post-game press conferences and mouthing off about the defense on the other side. But Jarrod Dyson and Jeremy Guthrie, if they weren't like prior to this, I think they're less like now. What's going on with these guys?
It's crazy, isn't it? That was actually the big story. Buck even said, they're going to ask me about T-shirts and more comments from Dyson, aren't they? And yes, they are. It's just bizarre that, first of all, you've got Dyson, who is still doing a lot of talking for a guy who's, I mean, he runs the bases and he runs his mouth. Let's be honest. For a guy that's 0 for 2 in stolen bases, he made another comment after last night's game. He thought Ryan Flaherty purposely kneed him in the shoulder on the pickoff attempt with Gausman on the mound to try and get him riled up. Buck said, okay, imaginations run rampant this time of year because you know what we're trying to do there? We're trying to get an out. We're not trying to rile up Jarrod Dyson. And just when you think Dyson is public enemy #1 in Baltimore, here comes former Oriole Jeremy Guthrie, who wears a T-shirt to his post-game press conference last night that says something about "These O's Ain't Royal," which is a take on the Chris Brown song, which you can look it up on Google at your own risk, or you can borrow Jim's iPod. Either way.
I don't even know who Chris Brown is, so don't come to me. I mean, I had to ask you who he was. I didn't even know.
Buck's totally confused, too. He goes, wait, Chris Brown's weighing in on Orioles Royals? How's that selling? But Jeremy immediately apologized on Twitter late last night because there was such an outcry from Oriole fans. And then he actually asked to have a press conference today, pre-game, just to explain the T-shirt, to apologize again. He said he received it from a fan, I guess, last night. He goes, it was sent to me. It'll be sent to the garbage today. You'll never see it again. He didn't mean to be disrespectful at all. He thought it was funny. He didn't realize that it would be deemed offensive by Oriole fans. He said he did receive a few text messages from some former teammates that thought it was a low blow. He didn't say who. Chris Tillman said he wasn't one of them, but Tillman was one of the guys that did receive a text apologizing for it. Chris said, you know, we'll address that later. We got better things to do right now. So I think T-shirt gate will kind of come and go quickly, but it is kind of silly that in Game 4 of the ALCS, one of the biggest stories is a T-shirt.
Yeah, and as far as the Orioles are concerned, Tom and Rick, none of that matters. They know what's at hand. They need to win today to get to tomorrow. Back to you.